Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 183. I just passed 90,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for all your support. And Lucid just came out with their earnings report, and things are not looking good. But Rivian also came out with their earnings report, and they are much more right on track. And we also have some more analysts saying that EVs is slowing down. But other agencies are now starting to say that by the end of this decade, we will no longer be buying ICE cars. And Business Insider is out saying that EVs are going to plateau. So yes, the predictions are all over the place. So let's see who will be right. And GM's Cruise is having a bad week. And hydrogen gets another nail in the coffin. And BMW once again shows how difficult great software is for the old guys. All of this and much more in today's episode. So let's dive right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
Lucid came out with their earnings report and things are not looking good. So Lucid generated over $150 million in revenue in the second quarter, less than what Wall Street had expected. Deliveries of its Air electric sedan also fell short of expectation during the period. We already know they sold fewer electric vehicles in Q2 than in Q1, so that was not good, but Lucid lost about $544,000 for every vehicle they delivered in Q2 2023. So they lose about $500,000 for every vehicle they sell. They do have a long way to go. But the $3 billion capital raise they did in May has extended the company's cash runway by about a year into 2025. So let's see if Lucid can find a way to become profitable, but I highly doubt it. They are making price cuts on their expensive EVs and they are losing $500,000 on selling them. And their gross margins over the last 12 months has gone from a negative 152 to a negative 268. And both their deliveries and production has been going down for the last 2 quarters in a row. So they are actually not growing, which is a big concern for a company that is actually trying to grow to become profitable. And they have been quite the focus on Tesla's inventory, but as we know, Tesla only have about 16 days of inventory. But Lucid, on the other hand, well, they have an inventory equivalent to more than 300 days of sales. And they are nowhere near getting to their target that they showed investors just in 2021 when they went public with SPAC. They hoped for $5.5 billion in revenue in 2023, but so far in the first half of this year, Lucid have only made about $300 million. So on a course for about $600 million in revenue this year. And they told investors just 2 years ago they would do $5.5 billion. So not quite the growth story that they tried to make themselves look like. They have done about 10% of what they said they would. So I think Lucid has a lot of disappointed investors. And if they should stay alive beyond 2025, they probably need more cash investment in the company. But who is going to invest now? Maybe just the Saudi Arabians, but I don't think many other investors is going to invest in this company that missed its own target by this much. But Lucid did come out with the specs of their $250,000 Lucid Air Sapphire. A monster of a car, no doubt, but I don't think this will help Lucid much, as the market for this car is very limited, especially when the Plaid Model S is not far off these specs, but cost less than half of the Sapphire. And remember, Lucid is not a new startup, as many are saying. They were founded back in 2007, only 4 years after Tesla. But I doubt we will see Lucid in a position as Tesla is today in just 4 years' time. They have been in operation for 16 years and are still losing about $1 billion every quarter. They might have made a great electric car in those 16 years, but as Elon has said, production is like 100 times harder than making the prototype. And that is exactly what Lucid is finding out right now.
And we all love to surf the internet, right? But here is a reality check. It's not always safe. It's alarmingly easy to get hacked, as simple as pushing a button, really. Which is why I always prioritize my online security by using a VPN. Using a VPN means that no hacker or internet provider can sneak a peek or steal my data. Everything from my emails, pictures, and banking details are encrypted. That allows me to focus on my work without having to worry about my online security. And speaking of online security, I am thrilled to announce today's sponsor, Private Internet Access, or PIA, a world-leading VPN provider. They are one of the biggest and most trusted VPN provider in the world. What makes PIA unique? Well, their VPN is 100% open source and their code is public so that anyone can take a look under the hood and examine just how secure and private their service really is. This level of transparency is rarely seen in other VPNs. This level of trust is probably why they have gathered over 30 million downloads worldwide. Private Internet Access is a US-based VPN provider with one of the most extensive service base globally, almost 30,000 servers. Talk about impressive. And what does PIA do? Well, it hides your IP address and encrypts your internet connection, protecting your digital life. This is incredibly important considering how much of our life is online, on our computers and smart devices. The best part? PIA works on any device, from computers to smartphones, with all major streaming service, which means unrestricted access to all your favorite content anywhere in the world, like on my road trip here up through Norway.
And I have some great news. If you use my link down below, you will get an incredible 83% discount on Private Internet Access. That is just over $2.03 a month for a top-tier online security. Plus, you will also get 4 extra months completely for free. So don't wait, sign up for PIA today. It is totally risk-free. They have 30 days money-back guaranteed and 24/7 customer service is available if you should ever need it.
So click my link below to get the online privacy we all deserve. And a big thanks to Private Internet Access for sponsoring this video.
So Rivian also came out with their earnings report, and that looked a lot better than Lucid's. In the second quarter, Rivian produced 13,992 and delivered 12,640 vehicles. This represents a nearly 50% increase in production as compared to the prior quarter, and about 10 times bigger production and deliveries than Lucid is doing. So even though Rivian has been having trouble ramping up, Lucid did start deliveries in October 2021, and a year later Rivian started. So Rivian is definitely doing much better on ramping up EV production than Lucid is, and are not going backwards as Lucid is, but still ramping up and even adjusting their guidance for this year from 50,000 units to 52,000 units. So very nice to see. And most of the growth actually comes from their new kid on the block, the R1S, their SUV kind of vehicle. So as this is not a pickup truck but a big luxury family SUV, that is probably why this is selling so well. So Rivian might not have had as many orders for the R1T as we might have hoped for, so maybe not such a bad idea of getting the next product off the production line anyway for Rivian, as that is now about 70% of Rivian's production. So that is very impressive, and they also said that they expect to reach a positive gross profit sometime in 2024. Now that would be great news, as they are still losing a lot of money as they generate a negative gross profit of $412 million for the second quarter. So Rivian lost about $31,000 per vehicle sold, compared with the loss of $67,000 in the previous 3 months, and compared to Lucid $500,000. So Rivian is burning through about $1.6 billion per quarter, so still losing a lot of money, but they still have about $10 billion in the bank. So they should also have enough to keep them alive for about 6 quarters until they hopefully get to some profit sometime during 2024. And if the trend continues as we are seeing right now, the losses will become smaller and they should be able to get to profitability. So that does look much better than Lucid's earnings report, and Rivian is growing much faster than Lucid. And remember, Rivian was founded in 2009, so 2 years after Lucid, and started production 1 year after Lucid, but is currently producing and selling about 10 times more than Lucid and growing very nicely. So some very good vibes from Rivian here, and they might start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Nice. So just a couple of weeks ago, both Volkswagen, Ford, Mercedes have been out saying that demand for EVs are shrinking. And the International Energy Agency shared their 2023 report on X.com that they came out with in April, but just retweeted it again. And they are saying that they see a strong demand for EVs, like we just see with Rivian or with Tesla, and that will continue throughout 2023. But the International Energy Agency's future predictions is still way off the mark, in my opinion. So there is no denying the trend we are seeing, that the EVs are growing rapidly, an exponential curve, and that is the easy part, as we are just looking backwards. The hard part is, of course, looking forward, as we have to guess where this trend is going. So we will, of course, all be wrong. The only question is, who is going to be less wrong? And I have talked about the International Energy Agency's prediction before, and they have never been very good at predicting the EV adoption. I have made a lot of videos about this, but the IEA continues to underestimate the adoption and continues to rise their prediction every single year, as the adoption apparently surprised them every single year. In their 2020 report, they estimate that we would have EV sales of 14 million by 2025. Now they expect that for this year in 2023. And back then they thought we would have only 25 million EV sales in 2030. So they expected we would only have about 16% EV market share in 2030. How they can be an analytic company and come up with so wrong prediction is beyond my understanding. I make better predictions than that. And they write in their 2023 report, they expect that we could hit 18% EV market share here in 2023. So only 3 years after that they predicted 16% EV market share in 2030, we are now beating that target by 2% in only 7 years earlier than they thought just 3 years ago. Boy, they are really bad at their job of predicting EV adoption. But so have all the other analytic firms like EIA and OPEC. EIA thought back in 2014 that we will only have about 2 million EV sales in 2022. OPEC was even more wrong. They thought we would only have 100,000 units in 2022. So even though ARK Invest was a bit too optimistic with their prediction of 17 million in 2022, they were the one that was closest by far. And we are heading for 14 million here in 2023, so not completely off the mark for ARK Invest. But the other guys should be embarrassed by their prediction. These companies have ever since raised their target every single year, but continues to see this as a linear growth and not an exponential growth. Not even now, when the trends show us this is an exponential growth. They continue to think linearly. They think China will almost stop growing with the EV sales, as they only expect China to have 40% EV market share in 2030, the US only 25%, and they expect, as they write, Europe maintaining its current 25% market share. So they now expect no growth in Europe's EV market share after 2023. How can they look at the trend and argue that there will be no growth in Europe? This is ridiculous. This is why we have so many people misinformed. Not everyone likes to dive into these numbers and think for themselves. They just listen to these firms that have been historically wrong for decades on EV adoption and have countries depending on their research. So they do see strong demand for 2023, unlike Volkswagen and Mercedes, but when looking out in the future, I still don't think they get how quickly this is going to happen. We are seeing exponential growth, but they continue to predict in linear fashion. So they will probably rise the target again next year. That is my prediction. But we did get some more realistic predictions from another agency this week, and they say we will not be buying ICE cars by the end of this decade. Couldn't agree more. And I did make a whole video this week about how legacy automakers are entering the valley of death, as the demand for ICE cars continues to fall no matter if EV production can't keep up with EV demand. And this week we heard the same song from another agency. The Green Group Electric Car Counts report look at current registrations and trend to forecast how EV demand is processing. It says the latest data shows that petrol cars registration shed 8 percentage points just in July, as sales of electric cars grew by 90%. New Automotive says this continues a long-term decline in the popularity of petrol since 2019, when they accounted for 65% of all new car sales. As they said, remarkably, despite a recovery in the market, sales of petrol cars remain in a long-term decline and are still around half of their pre-pandemic peak. And with diesel car demands collapsing from their peak of 50% market share in 2016, the think tank predicts that consumers will effectively end the sales of petrol and diesel car by 2028 or 2029. Exactly. Nice to finally see some prediction that sales of ICE cars will be no more at the end of this decade, as all trends has been showing us for years. But the international agency still think BEVs will only account for about 25% in 2030. I think the Green Group Electric Car Count is going to be much more accurate. And every time Tesla enters a new market, we see some exponential growth in that market. We know Tesla is in the 3 biggest car market on the planet, the US, Europe and China. But in Europe, there are still a lot of countries that Tesla is not in. And outside these car markets, there are still many countries that Tesla is not in. So a lot of growth opportunities for Tesla, and every time they enter a new market, we see sales skyrocket. Just like Thailand, Tesla just entered this year. We can see their sales took off like a SpaceX rocket. But not only that, Tesla's Model Y has already become a top 10 best-selling car in Thailand, and they started deliveries in February. So in less than 6 months from the entering the market, Tesla now has one of the best-selling cars in the country. And Tesla has just started selling cars in Malaysia as well, so let's see how fast that goes. And so many more countries to enter. But Tesla did open up a new supercharger in Thailand, so that is good to see, as that is no doubt where Tesla is lacking in Thailand. Unfortunately, the superchargers are all located in Bangkok, as this is of course the main market in Thailand for Tesla. But what we love about Tesla here in Europe and China and the US is the Tesla supercharging network that makes road tripping an absolutely joy. So this is of course something that Tesla has to speed up. But remember, no one else is doing this. BYD or Volkswagen can just send some new EVs to Thailand, while they are not also building out a charging network. So you might think that this is not good enough, that Tesla has only made a few chargers in Thailand, but at least Tesla does have chargers in Thailand and are building out more and more all the time. The others are not. And of course, there are other charging companies in Thailand. It is not only Tesla chargers in the country. PTT is targeting 7,000 chargers by 2030. Today, there should be more than 700 stations with more than 2,500 stalls in the country. So it is possible to make a road trip in Thailand, but we all just know how much better the experience is with Tesla's network. So nice to see Tesla is getting some more chargers up and running in their new market in Thailand. And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this new show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla Shorts. Apparently, Musk and Zuckerberg are still going to make a fight, as Elon wrote on X. Zuck versus Musk fight will be live streamed on X. All proceeds will go to charity for veterans. But Elon seems to be getting a surgery on his neck and back, so we might have to wait a bit longer to get this fight going. And if you believe Volkswagen and Mercedes when they say that EV demand are going down, well, here are some facts to check if this is true. So far, in the first half of 2023, BE registration grew year over year in China 31%, in Europe 45%, in the US 47%. And Tesla again is the best-selling brand globally and has not only the best-selling EV but the best-selling car in the world. BEVs is doing great and growing quickly together with Tesla. while Volkswagen demand for EVs is weak. But Business Insider made an article we have to come back to in a year or two, as they write, the EV plateau is coming. It's bad news for companies like Ford and Tesla, because as their analyst is saying, we are now going from the early adopters to the bigger market. Vice President of the Global Vehicle Forecast at Auto Forecast Solutions said, the further up the growth curve we go, the harder it's going to be to get to the next level. Well, we are talking about a disruption here, so we are looking at exponential growth curve, and I don't think it's about to slow down because we now hit a wider market, quite the opposite. As more learn about the benefits of an EV, the more will buy them, and the cheaper they get, the more will buy them. As I talked about many times, by 2027 or 2028, it will no longer make sense to buy an ICE car, as an EV will be much cheaper both to buy and to operate. So I don't see the slowdown of EVs, but let's put this article on the track list and see how it goes. And Tesla's Chinese supplier are rushing to settle in Mexico to support the new Gigafactory. They intend to take advantage of Tesla's investment to benefit from cooperation with the company. And the Mexico factory is the one you are going to want to be working with. When fully ramped, it should make more cars than all of Tesla's current production run rate, so supplying that factory will be like supplying all of Tesla today times 2. And BMW owner learned how bad BMW is at making an over-the-air software update, as Alex wrote on X. Your car asks you if you want to renew the software. Sure, 20 minutes and then nothing works. Not even locking was possible. Embarrassing that you have this luxury brand that can't even make an over-the-air update in 2023. But after hearing Jim Farley explain Ford works with 150 different software suppliers, it is hardly surprising. And Fisker is cutting production target once again, not surprisingly. As I showed in the news episode 170, Fisker delivered its first Fisker Ocean here in Denmark by Henrik Fisker himself, but at that point they have already taken their target down from the 42,000 units in production to 32 to 36,000 units, which I said would be very impressive if they could pull that one off, as that would be faster production ramp than both Rivian, Lucid or GM, and pretty much any other EV manufacturer. And sure enough, Fisker is out lowering their target once again to 20,000 to 23,000 units. I think they will lower it once again, as it still seems impossibly high. And they do have the classic distraction maneuver when bringing bad news. But look over there, a new shiny thing, as they showed off the new EV pickup truck. Yeah, let's get the production of the Ocean going first and stay alive long enough to get the other vehicle in production. And a German Plaid owner showed off the Plaid's performance on the Autobahn in Germany, where they have a free speed limit. So legal, but still insanely fast. As we can see, the Plaid Model S go over 250 like it's nothing and continues all the way up to 328 kilometers an hour and just looks effortless. But don't try this at home. And we saw this crazy video this week of a pickup driving up these huge sand dunes, and Elon replied, "Would be cool to see Cybertruck tackle this." So my question is, when, Elon, will we see this, as you can just make this happen? So please, make that happen. And it would just look like something straight out of Dune. Maybe that is where the Cybertruck is going that we saw being spotted in the Giga Texas factory that was loaded onto a container. Crossing fingers. And after a difficult 21 years run at the full-size pickup truck crown, the Nissan Titan will bow out of production next year. If there was just another big electric Titan to take over its demand.
It's the final count.
And Tesla has announced the departure of their long-term chief finance officer, or Master of Coins, Zach Kirkhong, who will be replaced by Tesla's chief accounting officer. So thank you so much, Zach, for bringing Tesla to a safe financial harbor and all the work and progress you have helped create through the years. I wish you all the luck on your future endeavors. And we have more stupidity about hydrogen losing taxpayers' money this week, as Alex shared on Twitter. Hydrogen train died a quick death in Germany. The first adapter of commercial hydrogen trains, LVNG, AG, a German state-owned railway company, cancelled after a year. Their plan is to entirely moving into the fully electric train. The Lower Saxony State Ministry has abandoned the idea of future hydrogen trains, arguing that battery electric models are cheaper to operate. No shit, Sherlock. Matthias on X also shared a story, kind of the same situation just in Austria, where they asked the Technical University in Vienna about the best solution. They said clearly the train with the catenary, but also the battery train makes sense and is possible. Hydrogen, on the other hand, would make no sense. It's a waste of money and energy. Even the manufacturer of the hydrogen trains says they make no sense. When will people start to wake up? But wait, there is more. A hydrogen tank exploded in Austria and one injured. The autobahn was closed and special forces could not enter. It's just unbelievable how many stupid hydrogen product has been made, all to find out afterward that they have spent millions of taxpayers' dollars that it was a bad idea. If they have just spent 2 minutes looking at the science, you would know green hydrogen will always be more expensive than just running things on renewables, and less efficient and less dangerous. Here was just 3 examples. But if you want to know, but why are the governments and so many companies and smart people still pursuing hydrogen? Well, just follow the money. And a cruise autonomous taxi crashed into a semi-truck this week. Funny that Dan O'Donnell has been quiet about this. Had this been Tesla, he would have paid $1 million to get this on the newspaper ad. But when the cruise crashes, crickets. But we also saw another cruise that was being tested by CNBC that got stuck in the middle of the road as well. And a person had to come in and remove it. They still have a long way to go.
This is not good.
How does this compare to the worst driving student you've ever had?
Oh, this is much worse.
And Volkswagen continues to slow down and cut back on their EV promises. Volkswagen has confirmed to German media Edison that the ID. Bus California is not coming. The conversion would be too difficult and the range would suffer too much, Volkswagen stated. Therefore, Volkswagen's commercial vehicles is cancelling this model. So because Volkswagen can't make it good enough with their inferior MEB platform, they have to cancel it. That's just too bad. Yeah, this MEB platform is going to hurt Volkswagen very much. So not a good idea from Volkswagen's board that delayed their Trinity platform. They need that platform desperately. And Tesla shared a new video of their robot that definitely want to have more cowbells.
I gotta have more cowbell, baby.
And Roland made a nice chart for us this week, showing off the best-selling cars in Europe. And here we can see the insane growth that the Tesla Model Y has done this year, thanks to the Berlin factory. Just see the growth for Tesla's model compared to anything else in the market. But Tesla will fail in Europe because of all the competition. Well, it doesn't look like it. And EVs continues to rise in the US. The US EV adoption rate is rapidly accelerating. In July 2023, in July, data per J.D. Powell says that 8.5% of all US auto sales were BEVs. Last year, it was less than 5%. In Q1 this year, it was in the 6.5 to 7% range. It rises very quickly, but sure, International Energy Agency, the US will only have 25% BEVs in 28 quarters in 2030. Not with that growth rate. And Alex shared a TED Talk this week about how the fossil fuel industry is fighting against the climate change. I will leave a link down below, definitely check it out, but just one little key takeaway when you hear people saying EVs and renewable won't work without subsidies. Well, why don't we try to see what will happen if the oil industry did not get subsidized? In 2022, direct fossil fuel subsidy reached $1.1 trillion globally, a year-over-year growth of 100% and 500% growth compared to 2020. This is madness. And how is it going with Tesla's demand problem in China? Well, Tesla Giga Shanghai domestic sales and export increased significantly compared to a year earlier. Sales in China grew 271% and export 66% year over year. Sure, there was a lockdown last year, but Tesla grew their domestic sales by 271%. According to data released by the Chinese Passenger Car Association, Tesla China sold a total of 64,285 vehicles manufactured by the Giga Shanghai in July. This number includes cars sold domestically and export abroad. This reflects a 127% increase from 28,270 vehicles sold last year. Including export and import, Model 3 sales in July were 20,324 and Model Y sales were 43,961. The Model Y is also the best-selling EV in China in the first half of 2023 and continues as the Model Y was also the best-selling SUV in China in the first week of August here. So I guess they are doing quite alright. And just days after we saw the Cybertruck frunk in some leaked videos and pictures, Jim Farley was quick to come out with some pictures of their great power frunk. Look, ours is bigger. I really think Jim and Ford are very, very scared of the Cybertruck. But yes, Jim, you have a very nice big power frunk. And K10 shared an edge case for Tesla's full self-driving. Yeah, no human should be driving there either. And GM unveiled their all-electric Cadillac Escalade IQ, a beast of a car with a huge frunk and good specs thanks to a lot of horsepower and again a crazy big battery of 200 kilowatt hours, but it does start at $130,000, so not a car for your everyday man, and GM is still having trouble with production of the Cadillac Lyriq. GM said they will produce 25,000 units of the Lyriq last year, but so far this year, they have only delivered 2,400 units. Imagine if this has been Tesla that missed their target by 10x and only delivered 180,000 units instead of 1.8 million units this year. They would have been slaughtered. But when it's GM, nobody seems to care. Or maybe people are just getting used to the GM not delivering on their EV promises as they have done for the last decade. So people are just not surprised anymore. But let's see if GM even gets any EV in high volume. And if you're wondering, okay, the Model Y is the best-selling car in the world, but how does it actually do in Germany with all the loyal German customers for their local German brands? Well, the Tesla Model Y has become Germany's best-selling EV for the first 7 months of 2023. So the narrative some people came out with a year or two back, saying that Germans would never buy a Tesla. Well, the Model Y is the most preferred EV in Germany. And if you think you can get a used Tesla in Germany for a good price, well, think again. As Alex shared on X, there are only 7 used Teslas available in all of Germany right now. The Germans like them Teslas. And before we end off with a bit of fun, I just want to make a quick shout out to my new patrons and members of this news show. My new patron producer, Gabriela Sino. And my new YouTube members, Jess Timmerman and Joel Goodrich. Thank you so much for all your support. I am doing this all by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this news show. Thank you. And a big and special thanks to Supporter of the Week. And this week's winner is Kenneth N. Kenneth has been a member for 6 months now, but he's just upgraded to become a Best in Tesla superhero. So thank you so much, Kenneth, for all your support. Please contact me on this email down below so I can get your address so I can send you your Supporter of the Week winner t-shirt. Thank you. And let's end off with a bit of fun. Remember, be careful when you go out drinking. Your perception of the world and people around you change when you get some beers. That is all we have time for in this news show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help this video out a lot, so others can find it on YouTube. And if you did like it, maybe you want to consider hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. And don't forget, if you want to become an executive producer and get news articles every day, Monday to Friday, some exclusive videos and access to all my research, charts and spreadsheets, head over to bestintesla.com and join with the members button. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your support, and if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel and get your shout out on this show. You can also become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out and some extra perks. Hit the members button to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I tweet all the news as it comes out and more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. Now it's also possible to support the show without buying anything, becoming a member or a patron. There is a link to a donation options in the show notes. And also as simple as hitting the super like button. But going forward, I will be making more videos for patrons and members only. And I will give my YouTube members and patrons early access to my videos whenever possible and make my videos ads free for members and patrons only. So don't miss out. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.